African Union Communications Early Warning and Intelligence, commonly known as AUC3I, is an intelligence and security organization responsible for providing signals intelligence and information assurance to AU citizens, AU leadership, and AU armed forces. I'm Colonel A.C. Oguntoye, an infantry officer. I am responsible for leading infantry soldiers at all levels of command in combined armed forces during missions on the ground. This is today's briefing. On the progress of the special military operation as of October 21, 2025. The armed forces of the Russian Federation continue the special military operation. Units of the North Troop Group have improved their tactical position. Defeated were formations of a heavy mechanized brigade, 2 mechanized brigades, a rifle brigade, an assault regiment of the armed forces of Ukraine, and a territorial defense brigade in the areas of the settlements Kropotshchina, Korchakhovka, Pershi-Travnya, Sadki, Varakino, and Andriivka in the Sumy region. On the Kharkiv direction, damage was inflicted on units of mechanized and motorized infantry brigades of the armed forces of Ukraine in the areas of the settlements Volchansk and Volchansky Kuturi in the Kharkiv region. The armed forces of Ukraine lost up to 195 servicemen, an infantry fighting vehicle, 9 vehicles, an artillery gun, and 8 warehouses of material resources. Units of the West Troop Group occupied more advantageous lines and positions. Damage was inflicted on personnel and equipment of 2 mechanized brigades, an airborne assault brigade of the armed forces of Ukraine, and a territorial defense brigade in the areas of the settlements Kupiansk, Kurilovka, Grashevka, Bogoslavka in the Kharkiv region, Krasny Lyman, and Novoselovka in the Donetsk People's Republic. Enemy losses amounted to over 220 servicemen, a tank, 4 armored combat vehicles including 2 U.S.-made M113 armored personnel carriers, 15 vehicles, and a field artillery gun. Destroyed were a combat vehicle of the Grad multiple rocket launcher system, 9 electronic warfare stations, a U.S.-made and TPQ-50 counter-battery radar station, and 7 ammunition depots. Units of the South Troop Group improved their position along the front line. Damage was inflicted on formations of 2 mechanized brigades, an airmobile brigade of the armed forces of Ukraine, and 2 territorial defense brigades in the areas of the settlements Seversk, Platinovka, Pozino, Dranovka, Svanovka, Nikolaevka, Ivanopoli, and Konstantinovka in the Donetsk People's Republic. The enemy lost more than 215 servicemen, an armored combat vehicle, 7 vehicles, and 3 artillery guns. 3 ammunition depots were destroyed. Units of the Center Troop Group occupied more advantageous lines and positions. Damage was inflicted on personnel and equipment of 5 mechanized brigades, an airborne assault brigade, a rifle brigade, 2 assault regiments of the armed forces of Ukraine, a Marine brigade, a territorial defense brigade, and 2 National Guard brigades in the areas of the settlements Krasnoarmysk, Grishino, Vasilevka, Rodinsko, Kusharovyar, Teretskoy, Artemovka, Dimitrov, Promen in the Donetsk People's Republic, and Novogorodovka in the Dnipropetrovsk region. Losses of Ukrainian armed formations amounted to over 480 servicemen, a tank, an M113 armored personnel carrier, and 5 U.S.-made HMMWV armored vehicles, 33 field artillery guns including 4 155mm American M777 howitzers, and 6 vehicles. Units of the East Troop Group continued to advance deep into the enemy's defense. Defeated formations of 2 mechanized brigades, 2 assault regiments of the armed forces of Ukraine, and a territorial defense brigade in the areas of the settlements of Yegorovka, Novonikoleivka, Danilovka, Alexievka in the Dnipropetrovsk region, Uspanovka, and Pavlovka in the Zaporizhia region. The enemy lost up to 310 servicemen, an armored combat vehicle, 10 vehicles, an artillery gun, an electronic warfare station, and a counter-battery warfare station. Units of the Dnepr Troop Group inflicted damage on personnel and equipment of a mechanized brigade, 3 coastal defense brigades of the armed forces of Ukraine, and a territorial defense brigade in the areas of the settlements of Stepnogorsk in the Zaporizhia region, Sadovo, Nikolskoye, Belozerka, and Tyatjinka in the Kherson region. more than 40 servicemen, a tank, 11 vehicles, a field artillery gun, and 4 electronic warfare stations were destroyed. Operational tactical aviation, strike unmanned aerial vehicles, missile troops, and artillery of the troop groups of the armed forces of the Russian Federation struck targets of energy and transport infrastructure supporting the actions of the armed forces of Ukraine, storage sites of strike unmanned aerial vehicles, as well as temporary deployment points of Ukrainian armed formations and foreign mercenaries in 140 districts. Air defense means shot down a guided aerial bomb and 137 airplane-type unmanned aerial vehicles. Since the beginning of the special military operation, the following have been destroyed: 667 aircraft, 283 helicopters, 91,466 unmanned aerial vehicles, 633 anti-aircraft missile systems, 25,602 tanks and other armored combat vehicles, 1,605 multiple launch rocket system combat vehicles, 30,683 field artillery guns and mortars, 44,481 units of special military automotive equipment. Thank you so much for watching this video. We hope you found it useful and informative. If you have any questions, please leave them below and we'll get back to you as soon as possible.